I just wanted to talk about anime, my relationship with anime, and like things I know is kind of like a writer's perspective about anime. And just my whole history with it in general. I will try to like not make this video longer than 30 minutes, but if it does, I apologize just in advance. But then after this I'll do a whole other video about recommendations and stuff. But I just wanted to get this one video out and just talk about anime because I love anime. I grew up with the same animes most people of my generation probably did. You know, Sailor Moon, Card Captors, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, Tenchi Muyo, you know, GT, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, Digimon, Pokemon, the basics. You know, everyone remembers those things. Even before we knew what anime was, we would watch these cartoons, and there are so many people who, you know, I know who love Pokemon but hate anime, which I think is just so funny, and they don't think of it as actual anime because it's like it's so strange to see how something that we didn't really recognize as our childhood as being different, and, you know, being, you know, a whole art style from a different country, which is kind of a cartoon, you know. And when I was growing up, Sailor Moon is probably, we'll go on in history, Sailor Moon and Card Captors are probably my two biggest loves when it comes to anime, especially Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon to me is probably one of the most influential things in my life because it was when I was growing up, I was very thin-skinned, very sheltered, you know, very emotional girl. I was very shy. Like I'm not that loud black girl stereotype that people like to put in the media. I'm very shy, very quiet, very nerdy. And to have someone like Serena, who was a crybaby and kind of a loser in her own sense, end up being like mystical, magical Jesus, was kind of like, yeah, this is my shit. I love this show. And then from that point on, my older sister got me into other anime, and I really learned what the anime was about as a genre. I think the first time I actually realized what anime was when I was watching this show called Read or Die. Read or Die was probably one of the first adult-ish animes I ever watched. That and Abinabashi Sharpening Arcade, which my little brother and I would sneak up and stay up late to watch. That and another show called, I think, Get Backers used to come on this one channel. I don't even remember what it's called, but it would show this kind of animes, and we would just watch it, and that's when we knew what anime was, because our sister had explained it to us and stuff. So we just like, we're watching these shows with all these, you know, dirty jokes, but it's like, it's adult stuff, but it's a cartoon, you know. And it's so weird because you're so used to thinking cartoons are for kids, but here you got something that's completely adult, completely, you know, over the top and funny, but it's like kids our age, you know, teenagers in these adult situations, and it was just like, it was so much fun to watch and enjoy. And I think from that point on, I was kind of into it, you know, as like, I was an otaku from then on out, you know. Inuyasha would come on, and I got into Bleach and Naruto and stuff like that, and it just became a part of just me. But that being said, as I got older and grew up more, I would be able to, you know, think about it more on like intellectual level, a deeper level, and that's pretty much what this video is going to be about from here on out. To talk about shonen, shonen is probably one of the hardest genres for me to get into because it's so strange. To start off, I think that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are probably the most influential shonen animes of all time. It is without a doubt one of the most influential animes you will ever watch for shonen, to show the evolution of the genre and show how it became what it is today. Do I think it's the best one? Well, I love Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and I think the manga is probably superior to anime in all its forms. I have to say that I think the best shonen was Yu Yu Hakusho, because it takes the stuff that was established in Dragon Ball Z, but does it in a sort of tighter, more compact way that I find it somewhat superior to it. But I still think Dragon Ball Z is the most influential because it started this whole trend. Like, you look at One Piece and Bleach and Naruto, Dragon Ball Z influenced them. Because even Yu-Gi-Oh! Because when those mangakas were growing up, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was like booming. But also, beyond just the trope level, it also was the beginning of the sort of franchising of these shonen. Because Akira Toriyama wanted to end Dragon Ball because it's just called Dragon Ball usually, after the Frieza saga, like Goku and Yamcha, Tien and stuff, but they were supposed to just die and stay dead. And that was basically, you know, how the series was supposed to end. But editors and fans, they wanted to go on for longer, and that's how we end up having, you know, the Android Cell, blah, blah, blah sagas. And because of that, you get the Dragon Ball effect, where no character death after that point was ever treated like a serious thing, because we all knew they could just come back to life with the Dragon Balls. And it was from then on out, like, despite the fact that I love, you know, the Cell saga, and Vegeta's character development in the Buu saga, it was the beginning of these series dragging out for chapters upon chapters upon chapters, and the anime, you know, going from, you know, a tight one series to filler upon filler upon filler. And it's more serious, I think, than even Sailor Moon, which also has its share of filler, and I'll talk about that later, because it really ends up becoming the big stereotype about anime. I mean, people talk about Dragon Ball Z and be like, oh, you'll have an entire episode of, like, you know, you'll have a whole 5-7 episodes of just one battle. You know, you have one episode and the guy's just charging for, like, 30 minutes because they had to drag this out for so long. And that's why now people, when they think of Dragon Ball Z, think it's so stupid, because it's so, you know, stretched to become a franchise. You know, it's one of those things that it'll never die, and I think it's failing because of that, actually, because I feel like it should just be allowed to be a good, solid show and then be done. I mean, the movies are fine because they're not technically canon, and they're just little added things, and that's fine, because you can have a whole series of that. But then to stretch out these stories and arcs from when the writer intended to end is what makes Naruto and Bleach and One Piece now go on for so long. Because really, these series should have ended ages ago. I mean, literally, Bleach should be done. Naruto should be done. One Piece, those series should be getting ready to wrap up and just be over with at this point. We shouldn't have to still be having chapters upon chapters of this. But because of Dragon Ball success, these editors are forcing these mangakas to basically, you know, whore out their characters, their franchises, their stories, their plots, in order to make money. So that's one of the big issues with it franchise-wise. The other issue I have with shonen in general is just how girl characters are so, to be blunt, fucking useless. Because to go back to something like Dragon Ball, the most important character in Dragon Ball, to me, is Bulma. Like, the series could not gone where it went and progressed the way it did without Bulma. Without her, there would really be no series. She's the reason, you know, Goku managed to find the Dragon Ball. Without her, he'd be, you know, still in the forest, you know, backwards, and we wouldn't have the story we have Bulma, despite the fact that, you know, her appearances get more limited as it's stretched out. Her influence on the series makes her probably one of the most, in my opinion, important character in that thing. She doesn't need to be in there. Her influence is in it so much that without her, you know, the series wouldn't be where it is today. You cannot kill off Bulma. Like, if you killed her off at any point, you know, we'd be screwed. You know, even the reason why we have the Dragon Ball stuff is because of her. And if you killed her off, the series would be damned. You could get rid of, you know, Videl, 18, to a degree Chi-Chi, because her major importance after a certain point was only being like a mother figure to Gohan, and not even really that, because, yeah. So, get rid of them. Wouldn't be a big deal, but you would need to keep Bulma. Like, you need Bulma. And that sort of importance of having a female character, or at least having, you know, one solid female character, gets lost in these new mangas and animes, which is strange because you'll have more female characters. A lot more, actually, than you would have in some of these older ones. But the influence that they have in the series is so much less. Like, you go to Kenshin, you get a strong female character. You go to, Yu Yu Hakusho, you get, you know, they're not major characters, but they're strong, important female characters. Like, their influence in the manga is important, and you need to keep them around because they help the story. They're integral to the plot. Take something like Full Metal Alchemist, whether you talk about the original one or the Brotherhood or the manga, Risa, Winry, Izumi Sensei, Armstrong's sister, all those characters are important You need them. They are integral to helping the story move along. They are part of the character spectrum. They're important. But then you've got something like, Bleach, where you've got a character like Orihime, who basically has the power to write and unwrite reality however she wants. And she cannot do anything. She can do everything, but she does nothing. She moves not an ounce as a character. She just sits around and cries and mopes for like chapters upon chapters upon chapters. And I, dislike her, and I really want her to prove me wrong and to be great and just burst out of her shell, but she does nothing. Even like Rukia and Matsumoto and Momo, they'll come in, be cool for like 5-10 minutes, and then they'll go away. They'll either get hurt or some shit. But they're just blips on a radar. They're not important. Even Rukia, who's probably the only female character besides Yorichi in Bleach that I could give two shits about. But even her, her role, if she had died after the Soul Society saga, it wouldn't be a big deal. Now she's back and that's great. But it's just like, is she gonna be back and be like a real action girl now? Or is she just gonna be the same thing where she'll have one panel where she'd be like really badass, and we'll never have that happen again. It'll just be Ichigo, Ichigo, Ichigo. With Naruto, it's even worse, because at least, there are a few, strong-ish female characters in Bleach. Naruto, there's only two, in my opinion. Tsunade and Tamari, the only two females I can tolerate in that godforsaken series. I mean, talk about some female characters being put to shit. Sakura and Ino and that whole group of characters, they have to be some of the most irritating, annoying characters I've ever had the displeasure of reading. And it irritates me to no end how badly written these female characters are in these series. And it's hard because people will say like, oh, you're hating on them because they're girls. No, it's not about them being girls, but them being poorly written female characters. And only having one goal is to like go after a guy or to do one thing. Even, Sakura, she got cool in Shippuden for like, she can, she's a better fighter now, but that's it. She develops emotionally nothing because she just digressed. When she met Sasuke again. It's just like, why do you have these female characters? They serve no purpose. You could get rid of them all and you would have the same series. No point in her being there. And she's supposed to be a main female. She's a main character. She's up there with Sasuke and Naruto, and yet completely irrelevant to the entire series. She could die, and I would say like, thank you, because no point to her being there. And that's the problem with shonen now, is that they either like only have one or two female characters who are even remotely useful, but they never get to really show how useful they are. Or it's kind of like a faux action girl thing, where they'll be really useful for like one panel, but then it's never shown again. But you'll have tens of hundreds of thousands of panels of like a major character like Ichigo just standing there being like, with a sword, or just Naruto doing the same kind of thing. It's just like, it's redundant. And that's the issue with shonen in general. It's a redundant genre. You are lucky when there's a few series like Fullmetal Alchemist and stuff like that to shake it up. But mainly, the big three, your One Piece. Well, One Piece is kind of an exception, but I mean, like, that kind of thing, like, these animes that'll go on for years and years and years, like 500, 400, 300 chapters of one series, and these are the most popular series, and you get no development. It's completely asinine. It's the problem with this genre, because it's like, and plus, because these series go on for so long, people think that because they've lasted so long and they're so popular, that these are the best, that these are the creme de la creme. And so when you get newcomers who come and they're like, oh, these are popular, let me go see these, and they're not that good, it hurts the genre as a whole. Because plus, it's also, why would you want to get to a series that's ongoing still and has 500 and something chapters, 300 and something episodes? I mean, that's a big investment to make when it might not be going anywhere. You know what I mean? But that's shonen. Shojo, to me, I have a huge back and forth thing with shojo. Because I'll read some shojo that I really love. Like, I, to death, love Peach Girl. Peach Girl, Mars, some of the more action shojo, like, Fushiyugi and Ashino series, like, I love those, and I think that they're fun and I enjoy reading them, but they've got the same female character in, like, so many of them. Like, such a Mary Sue type-ish character that if it wasn't that she was somewhat endearing, I'd probably want to punch her in the face. Like, Fushiyugi is, like, basically, to me, it's like Tenchi Muyo, except reversed. It's like harem anime, or harem manga, but it's with somewhat more of a plot than the usual one. And it's this big up and down, because you'll have, like, a female character who's, like, you know, strong and whatever, but she still gets sidetracked by, like, the guy love interest, and then she'll have a love triangle, and then, you know, what's her big traits? Oh, she's nice, she eats a lot, and she's kind of clumsy. Like, it's the same character recycled over the same tropes. Like, just how shonen has its tropes, shojo has the exact same tropes with girls. Like, with the guy character, lead character in shojo, you'll either get the funny guy or the stock. With, like, female, you'll either get the crybaby or the one who, you know, lovable, clumsy, and loves to eat. And that's pretty much where it divides. The strong point of either of those two has to come with their stories. And I feel like shoujo, if you get past the crap and the bullshit, there are a lot of really solid shoujo series. Like Mars, I cannot, like, I had to talk about, someone telling me about, like, how Mars is, like, they're very cliche. I had to talk about the whole thing, because Mars, to me, is one of the best shoujo mangas, because the characters evolve throughout, like, from Volume 1 to Volume 2, there's a huge change in the main female character. Like, she starts to break out of her shell within, like, 2 volumes, you know? Whereas you'll have a character who'll go through about 15, 20 volumes, and nothing will change. She was the same person when she started to when she finished. You know, Mars is one of those stories where it's a love story, it's a shoujo, but it's also just a great character drama. You know, and Peach Girl, to me, is, like, one of my favorite shoujo girly manga stories and girly anime, because I have the anime here, because it really shows the complex nature of love trials and being in love with 2 people, and how is it like having female friends that you can't trust, duplicity of things, and, you know, it started that whole thing of, like, if you're the one who's crying, everyone thinks you're her. It's a really great story, and I think that a great story in anime and manga will sometimes save it, but sometimes not enough. And I think shoujo, what it will do is kind of the reverse of shonen. It'll have, like, the same kind of female characters and on and off annoying male characters. It really depends on if, at the end of the day, I like a character and I can latch onto them, or if the story is phenomenal. And I mean, phenomenal. Let's talk about anime in general, or just anime adaptations of series. Here's my whole thing about anime adaptations of manga. They giveth, and they taketh away. Let me explain this in a less bibliotic way. Let's take Sailor Moon and Naruto, for example. In Naruto, you have the character of Hinata. She plays a very benign role in Naruto. I like Hinata. I like her more than I like most of the main characters, but I wouldn't say she's anywhere near my favorite of, like, my top 2. She's close. She would be 3 if I wanted to make it a 3 list. She'd be that 3rd one, but she's not, because we're not making it a 3 list. She is not really that usually developed in the manga itself, but in the anime, she's a much rounder character, because that's where the filler stuff, that's what the filler things do. Filler in anime is used to develop characters who either don't really have that big of a characterization in the manga, or really don't have a major arc going on right now, so they can just pick and choose whatever. And so you got someone like Hinata who, like, will have, like, movie stuff dedicated to her, and, like, she'll be, like, a major character. That's why so many people like Hinata from watching the anime, because in the anime, she's so much more well-rounded. You know, in the Bleach movies, you get a better look at, like, Ichigo and Rukia's relationship. I mean, the Fate of Black movie pretty much shows about how much, like, their relationship, how strong it is between the 2 of them, how powerful it works, stuff like that. So you get, like, really good, you'll give to characters who don't get that much attention. You know, since a lot of shows doesn't have a lot of romance in it, sometimes I have more, like, romantic or softer episodes. So that's what filler does. It gives that, you know. However, it also taketh away. Major example, Sailor Moon. Now, I love the Sailor Moon anime, don't get me wrong, but the Sailor Moon manga completely like it out the water. And the biggest issue I've always had when after I finished reading the manga of Sailor Moon is what they do to Rei's character in the anime. She's not really like, she's kind of almost asexual, almost a lesbian, I would say. She's either asexual or a lesbian, and that's a big variation. But she really has kind of a more romantic, kind of close relationship with like the Sailor Venus character, and she really doesn't go after guys. She's not really boy crazy. That's really like, you know, Jupiter, Moon, and Venus. They're the boy crazy ones. Mars and Mercury are like mellow, calmer. They're kind of voice of reasons, you know. She's more of like, not to say that she's like Hio, but she's more of that kind of character. She's softer, soft-spoken. She's got a temper and whatnot, but she's not like played as a foil against Usagi, Sailor Moon, like she is in the anime. Like in the anime, they have this whole huge clash between her and Sailor Moon all the time. They make her boy crazy, where she's basically just, she's the same personality as Serena, and they give her like a love interest that goes nowhere, you know, and they give her these character traits that just take away from who she was as a whole in the manga. Like, they give her these traits to fill her out more, but it does nothing good for her. It just makes her a petty person. You know, it breaks the relationship with the team, because one of the things about Sailor Moon that I kind of love reading it is that it's a very solid team of women. You know, the Sailor Scouts get along with each other. They don't really fight that often. They're not like at each other's necks and throats or arguing about boys and fighting over boys and stuff. That's not what they do in the manga. But in the anime, they make like every other filler episode is about like, oh, there's a cute guy, and so they gotta fight over him and have a whole argument. And it's so stupid, and it takes away from them being a team. And just to talk about those filler things in general, many of those traits that they give to them in filler does not cross over in the long-standing series because it's not canon. You know, what point is there in giving Hinata all these great traits and whatnot, and they're not going to carry over? Like, I remember in the anime of Sailor Moon, they give, like, Amy, her character, like, a love interest and all kind of things, and it doesn't really cross over. It just kind of, like, it happens, maybe 1 or 2 episodes, I think she had a boyfriend, and then it's kind of, like, done. Whatever. It does not mean anything except that here's kind of, like, benign characterization for you, but they don't grow up. It doesn't make them, help them, do anything for them. It's just there to be there. And that's, like, one of the issues. Like, most of the time, the manga of a series is better in having a stronger plot. An exception will be pre-tier. Like, I have watched the anime pre-tier, and it is amazing. I have read the manga pre-tier, and this is not amazing. Very disappointed when I read the manga. I was like, this is not what I read. But I'm sure if I had done it the reverse way, I probably might like it better, but I doubt it, because the anime is, like, on point. Manga is not. So that one you can stay away from, just get the anime. But, you know, you'll have, like, to take Sailor Moon, for example, because I think I wrote this down in my little notebook. Okay. So, alright. Sailor Moon, this is my example. Sailor Moon is 18 volumes long. Okay? 61 acts / chapters long. That's how long Sailor Moon is. It's 18 volumes, right? The anime of Sailor Moon is, it's 200 episodes, right? In the manga of Sailor Moon, the Dark Kingdom, not the Dark Kingdom, but the Negaforce Queen Beryl arc of the series, that is over within about 3 1/4 volumes of the manga. You know, it's a 3 1/4 long manga arc, and it's a 46 episode part of the series. That whole thing is translated as 46 episodes, most of which, none of that stuff happens in the manga. It is all extra. It is all extra filler, extra benign characterization, extra. Because in, I think, the first manga, Jedi is killed in the first one. Zoisite and Nephite are killed in the second one. Third one, they get rid of Malachite, And by the end of that, she's about to defeat Beryl, and that happens in the beginning of the 4th volume, and it's over. 46 episodes. Complete bullshit. It makes no sense, because it just drags it out for so long, and by the time you're done, you have a 200 episode series, of which you could probably have eliminated about, I would say, 40 to 60% of the content that was in that anime. You take any anime, you can probably take it as it's been adapted and it's so much longer than the actual series. Most of that stuff can be cut out. Dragon Ball Z itself is about 26 chapters long. 26 volumes long. Because I think, the second half of it. It's like 26 volumes long. Half the stuff that happens in that anime, filler. You could literally cut more than half of the anime off. You would still have the same content you have from the book. It's completely ridiculous. That's the issue with it. It just goes on for too long. And it's not always good. Like, there are so many solid series that only last, like, between 12, 13 to 22, 26 episodes. So many good series. Fullmetal Alchemist, it's about, the first series is 50 episodes, Fullmetal Alchemist. Then Brotherhood is about 60-something episodes. Brilliant. Concise stories. Characterization. They are amazing on their own. And then only 50 and 63? That's it? And that's perfect. You don't need any more than what you got. And the thing about it too, the first series of Fullmetal Alchemist, even though it's not like the manga, is completely amazing on its own. Like, even though you could count that entire second half thing as filler, it is the best fucking filler I have ever seen. Because it fits with the story, it works well, it's a great, solid story. 50 episodes. Great, solid story with Brotherhood, 60-something episodes. You don't need 200, 300, 400 episodes of God knows what to make a successful franchise. You don't need it. And I have seen so many good animes that are that short. That are only like 13 episodes or 22 episodes. Amazing. Would recommend them to everyone. Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, short. Highly acclaimed. Don't need a whole bunch of crap. Okay? Now that I've talked about, like, just in general, let's talk about some of the animes I like and I don't like. There are some animes that I know people recommend to me and say that they're amazing, and I have tried to watch them, but I was just like, no. Like, one is Princess Tutu. People keep telling me Princess Tutu is amazing. When I had Anime Network, I tried to watch that thing. I was dying. It was so silly to me that I just could not stop. I couldn't watch it. It was so silly. But at the same time, I didn't like that. What I did love was Petite Princess Yuzi. That was my shit. I was watching that every day. And when that last episode, 2 episodes happened, I was crying like a bitch. I was legit crying like a bitch. Because that was flawless to me. Another one people recommend, Wolf's Rain. I have tried to watch it, and I know how good it is. I, like, read the summary, and it's like, this sounds really, really fucking good. When I watch it, I just get bored. Like, it sounds like a great story, and I'm sure it's amazing, and I do believe it's amazing. I just can't get into it. I can't do it. Let's see, what else? Another one that people tell me is good. Witch Hunter Robin, people have told me is good. That shit is slow as fuck. Okay? It is a joke within me and my sister. Like, when we say something is slow, we say it's Witch Hunter Robin slow. Because that thing went on for, like, creation. It was ridiculous. I could not get into it. And now since I've been watching anime now back, I tried to watch Elfen Lied. No. When I actually talk about, like, in depth about series, I'll talk about that, but no. I watched the entire series. It's interesting, and there's some good parts to it, but I know the manga, I see people say it's better, but the anime, no, that's not a classic. That's some shit that I'm gonna talk about at another time. But it's not that amazing. Let's see. Anything else I can think of off the top of my head? I don't like mecha. Like, I don't like mecha anime as a whole. Gundam? No. Gundams, all that shit, no. The only mecha animes I have ever watched are Fooly Cooly and Full Metal Panic. That's it. I don't like mecha. I have tried and tried like Like, it was, like, for a dying breath, I have tried to like mecha anime. I cannot. And I think it's because I hate Gundam. I fucking hate Gundam, like, with a passion. I would try to step and watch that shit, because it would come on, like, before Naruto, before Inuyasha. Boring as shit in the world. Could not get into it at all. So, and I don't think it was the original Gundam, it was, like, some Seed shit. I don't know, I don't care, it wasn't good. But other than that, I'm very, like, placant. Like, I love noir. You know, I love, Samurai Champloo, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop. I love this new one I just saw, Michiko to Hachen. I love most of Clamp's stuff. I love Slayers. What's my little list? Yeah. Kanon, which I'm going to talk about later. I love a variety of different things. Now, what I am going to start doing are anime reviews of animes that I've been watching, because for a long time I went through kind of like an anime hiatus. I did not watch it anymore. Like, this was after, I don't actually know when to actually pinpoint it. I just know there was a point where, like, I stopped reading Inuyasha, except for that beautiful motherfucker over there. I did not give a shit about Bleach, except for that beautiful motherfucker over there. And I did not give two flying fucks about Naruto until, like, Itachi. Every time Itachi would come into manga, I would make my appearance, and then I would leave. Like, when he died, I was like, fuck this series. I'm done. But, I just kind of, like, I stopped getting into it. It was not important to me anymore. And while I had my favorites I loved, I didn't feel any urge to go out and watch any anime. Like, Kanon was special because I loved Kanon. I'll talk about it later, but I loved Kanon, so I watched it, and it was great. It wasn't until I was recommended and watched Mahou Shoujo Madoka Magica, which I talked about earlier, that I really ended up reminding myself and remembering why I love anime. Because there are so many things anime can do, anime is capable of doing, even with its tropes and its cliches, of making a beautiful, strong story. And it's like, it's art to me. It's art and it's literature all in one, because you can have these brilliant stories with these colorful characters, and it can be done, and it has been done. And so, with that, and this summer, I have been rediscovering what anime means to me, and how much I just love it. And I think despite the goods and the bads and the tropes and the cliches, I will always love anime. I will always love Dragon Ball Z, Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon, Card Captors, Pokemon, Digimon, all that shit. Because it was a part of not just me growing up, but a part of me learning more about, it was me learning vicariously through characters. Like, Sailor Moon really did help me with my self-esteem, because I thought, here's a girl who cries and is whiny and a baby, and she's gonna save the motherfucking world. Again and again and again, like she on that Buffy shit. Okay, so for me, anime was more than just like a way. It was escapism, but it was great because they were escaping into doing something that was productive. It's so hard when you had girl shows growing up that were really targeted towards girls, and it was just kind of like bullshit, and they would never really make it seem like they thought very highly of us as a gender, because they didn't make us do like little benign crap. But Sailor Moon and Card Captors were like girls, teenagers, who were doing some hardcore shit. And that's why I'll always love magical girl anime. But, yeah. This is my long-winded anime episode. I'm sorry it's very long, but, I love it.
Fly away now, fly